Okay, so today we're going to continue with section 1. The notes for today are 11.B or 11B. Today what we're going to do is you're going to be given equations, or some of them may even actually be formulas like the first one, and they're going to ask us to solve for the indicated variable. So basically all we're going to do is solve for whatever letter they tell us in terms of all the other letters. So in today's part of section 1, all we're doing is basically rearranging the equation. So in this particular problem, they want us to solve for t. This is actually the simple interest formula. So notice the p, the r, and the t. What operation is being done to those three letters?
Multiplication.
Okay, so to undo multiplication, we know we're going to use division. So in order to get t by itself, I'm going to divide both sides of my equation by p and r. So I'm going to divide this side by pr and this side by pr. And then notice it cancels, and you're left with t equals I divided by pr. And you're done. So we're basically just moving all of the letters that are around the one we're trying to solve for to the other side. Now, towards the end of the examples, we're actually going to have to factor out a GCF in order to isolate the variable. So this is why it was so important that we covered that review chapter, because we're going to be using factoring throughout. Okay, everybody good on example 1? Now you can flip it around and say that t equals I divided by PR. All right, the next example, I want to solve for x. Notice in this example, I've got an x over here on the left, and I also have one on the right. But before I can even begin moving things, I need to distribute first. So I'm going to distribute the 3 to the 2x, and I get 6x minus 15a. I'm going to rewrite the rest of my problem. And now I need to begin to group my like terms. Now, if you want to move the 6 to the right or the 4 to the left, the 4x, it doesn't really matter. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move the 4x over so my x term stays positive. It doesn't really matter which way you move. So 2x. And then I'm going to drop down my negative 15a plus 4b equals negative 2. Now I need to my goal is to isolate the x, but notice I still have that negative 15a and the 4b that I need to move to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and add the 15a. Notice I cannot add it to that negative 2 because the 2 does not have an a. So for here, I still have the 4b there. I'm going to move that in the second step. So subtract the 4b. Again, notice none of the letters over there on the right have a b. So I'm just writing everything all by itself, but just next to each other with the appropriate signs. Now, technically, the order doesn't matter here. You could have put the negative 2 first, then the negative 4. It really doesn't matter. I just put it in alphabetical order with the constant at the end. And then now my final step here, I need to get x by itself. So in order to do that, I'm going to divide both sides by 2, leaving me with 15a minus 4b minus 2 over 2. You can leave it like this. Now, my C period, they wanted to divide it. So if you decide to divide it, you're dividing all 3 pieces by 2. I wouldn't. I would leave it what's in the green box. But if you like to do this, you can. But just know that that 2 that's in the denominator needs to divide all 3 terms. Minus 2b, minus 1. I would leave it how it is in the green, just so you don't make a careless mistake like I just tried to divide 4 by 2 and I said it was 4 when it should have been 2. Okay, everybody good on example 2? All right, let's try example 3. This time we want to solve for the letter R. I'm trying to get R by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute the P. So I get A equals P plus PRT. I'm still trying to get R by itself, so I'm going to move the P by subtracting it. And then I get A minus P equals PRT. I need to get rid of the P and the T on the right, so I'm going to divide by PT. So it cancels that. And then my final answer here is A minus P over PT equals R. And if you want to flip it around, either way works. I can't cancel the P's because remember this A minus P is attached. So you're done. This time I want to solve for X again. So I got an X here and an X here. My first step will be to distribute. So I'm going to distribute the negative sign to both of the terms. I'm going to distribute the A to the X and to the 1. And now I'm trying to get the X's together. So I'm going to subtract the AX. You could also move the 5 over. It doesn't really matter. It might be fewer steps, maybe one fewer. It doesn't really matter. So 5x minus ax. I still have the minus 2a, the minus c, and now I only have an a on the right. I'm now going to add the a, the 2a, to both sides. 5x minus ax minus c equals 3a, because I can group those. Those are like terms. And now I'm going to add the c. So 5x minus ax equals 3a plus c. I'm still trying to solve for x. Notice both of the terms have an x in them. So this is where I'm going to factor out a greatest common factor of x. So once I divide this by an x, I get 5 minus a, because my GCF is x. Rewrite the right side. Now I can actually isolate x because I can divide both sides by 5 minus a. Now I can solve for x by dividing both sides by 5 minus a. It'll cancel. And now I'm left with 3a plus c over 5 minus a. And I'm done. I can't cancel anything because those are all attached to each other. Okay, again, we want to solve for the letter x. So I need to group my x's together. This time, instead of moving it to the left, let me move the AX to the other side. Just to show you it really doesn't matter which way you move things. So I'm going to add an AX to both sides. So now I'm left with 4a equals 3b plus ax plus bx. Then I'm going to move the 3b over. 4a minus 3b equals ax plus bx. Now again, I need to pull out a greatest common factor, which is going to be the letter x. So over here, when I divide by the GCF, I'm left with x times a plus b. Over here, this side's the same. Again, you want x to be by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by a plus b. It cancels, and you're left with x equals 4a minus 3b over a plus b. I can't cancel anything because again the 4a and the 3b are attached. Now you don't have to, but it sort of makes it easier. So I'm going to add a 1 to the bottom of the a minus b. So then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply my cross products. So I'm going to do 2a times 1 equals the other cross product, which is going to be the x minus 1 times the a minus b. So it's actually going to be something I need to FOIL. So now I need to FOIL the blue side. So when I FOIL that, I get ax minus bx minus a plus b. It still equals the 2a. You're trying to solve for x, so I need to move that negative a and the positive b to the other side. So I'm going to add a, and I get 3a, ax minus bx plus b. I'm going to subtract the b. 3a minus b equals ax minus bx. And here we go again. I need to pull out a GCF of x. So here I get x and then a minus b. I still have the 3a minus b on the right. And now I divide by a minus b. Again, remember that this is grouped. So I can't just cancel out a minus b from that 3. So your final answer here is the 3a minus b over a minus b. Nothing cancels. Remember, in order to cancel, it has to look identical. And because that numerator has a 3, I can't cancel it. One more example. Now, you didn't have to do this one as a proportion. You could have just gotten rid of the fraction by multiplying both sides by x minus 1, but essentially it's the same thing. No, you can't, because it's attached. The 3 is attached to the a in the top, so you can't just cancel out a minus b. Everybody good? Anybody still need number 6? Let's try 7. Last example. Again, I need to get x's together, so I'm going to move my b squared over to the right side by subtracting it. And then I get ax equals bx minus a squared minus b squared. Then I'm going to move the bx over. So I need to get anything that has the letter x grouped together. So ax minus bx equals negative a squared minus b squared. Now I need to, again, factor out a GCF. I can't factor that right side. It sort of looks like it's the difference of 2 squares, but it's not, because negative a squared is not a perfect square. So here I'm going to pull out a GCF of x. And I get a minus b. I still have this side. And now I divide. The a minus b cancels. I can't factor that top, so this is the final answer. X equals negative a squared minus b squared over a minus b. Now, if you don't like that negative negative in the top and you'd prefer to pull out like a GCF of -1, you could also divide it and get x equals a squared plus b squared over b minus a. So you could divide them both by -1 to make it look like that. But I'm okay with you leaving it just like that. So either answer there. So your homework is on the next slide. It's page 91, 39 through 57 odd. And again, you can find the solutions for these in the same file where you found the 1-1A, the homework that you had over the weekend. Tomorrow we're going to start complex numbers, where we're going to see the imaginary, the letter I. That'll be 1-3.